Welcome. I'm so excited to have you here today. Today we're going to talk about unlocking the potential of data. I'm really pleased to share that we're going to be focusing on a collaboration, a beautiful collaboration between AWS, DNX and DataCo. So let's do a round of intros to get us up and running. So Danny, can you introduce yourself and your role and your company? And then we'll go to Bruno and then we'll jump in.
Thanks, Anita. So I'm Danny Tyrrell. I'm one of the co-founders, but also the Chief Operating and Product Officer of DataCo Technologies, which is a startup which was born and raised here in Australia, both for and by one of the major banks.
Love that. And Bruno?
Thanks for having me here. My name is Bruno. I am the Head of Technology from DNX.
Awesome. I'll just introduce myself. Anita Sood, one of the partner sales leaders here at AWS, and I'll be hosting today's conversation. And I've got live about 10 or so questions coming hot from our customers and partners, all about everything data and AI. So we're going to zoom through those questions. I'll be picking them at random. So let's have a fun conversation ahead. Danny, I can see a magical logo here for DataCo. Can you just share a little bit about that mission we talked about at the AWS Startup Barbecue? And what is this magical logo here to the left?
Yeah, absolutely. So DataCo in its entirety was built to enable the safe and responsible, is probably the best way to say it, use of data between organizations. So we know that data is the lifeblood of any organization, but how you can actually use it between organizations is pivotal to success. Our logo was originally interpreted to be the different connecting dots of how you need to share data. But interestingly, actually, early on after we created the logo, my young daughter noticed that it actually looked like a 4 on its side.
Oh, I can see that.
And it actually reflected what we like to call the 4 pillars of collaboration, which is all about trust, security, privacy, but most importantly, value.
Awesome. So if I think about DataCo and we were having that conversation at the AWS barbecue, it just brings to life, I think your daughter did it nicely with the 4, seeing the 4 and the values there. And at AWS and at DNX, trust is like one of the most important things. It underpins everything. And so I would love to hear a little bit about DataCo's journey. So how did those 4 pillars come to life? How did you as an amazing Aussie startup land on the world stage? And then we'll connect into the DNX partnership, because all of this is about partnership.
Yeah, absolutely. So DataCo actually started its journey inside one of the banks, as I was mentioning earlier before. And we were all about knowing that data is important to how you run a business. Data is important to how you understand your customers, but most importantly, data is important to understand how you best service and make sure your customers really value and treasure the services that you have. Now, the thing is, most organizations have a limited view of what they know about their customer with their data. And this is only getting harder and harder in a world where privacy is becoming more of a focus, and security means we really need to control what we do with data. So we always believe that the organizations who can not only use their data, but also connect with partners in a trusted way will be the ones that are successful. Now, we tried many times to execute data collaboration inside the bank, but the reality was it's not easy. It's very hard for a number of different reasons, and really all related to those pillars. It's hard to form that trust. It's hard to have the security. It's hard to make sure you respect privacy, and it's hard to really understand value. So what we did was we did a global scan of the best emerging technologies to understand how do we actually solve this problem. Now, what we found was some really encouraging pieces of technology that solved bits of the problem, but nothing which really solved the end-to-end journey that you need to do to really enable data collaboration. So we made a decision to build a solution, partnering with some of the best partners in the field, and really test and prove it for the bank. Now, once we showed that this was a success, we realized this isn't a bank technology. This is a technology which is actually applicable to any industry, any organizations who want to partner. So we made the decision to actually spin this out as a completely separate standalone company, and that's really what DataCo is today.
I love that. And look, all I can hear is trust, partnership, bleeding edge technology, and bringing that all together. And look, one of the questions here is how, from the audience, is how does DNX play a role in this? Because that's an extension of the partnerships. You talked about partnerships with customers, partnerships with the technology, and tell me a little bit about the partnership here we have today.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things about spinning this technology out of the bank was we've got an amazing team of engineers. We've got some of the best engineers in the country. I'm maybe a little bit biased, but I'll absolutely stand by that. And they really built this secure, trusted platform, like privacy by design from day one. But we knew when we spun it out to be a separate entity, we needed everything to be completely, it needed to be compliant, it needed to be safe. We just couldn't leave any stone unturned. And the requirements for us meant we needed to meet all of those compliance standards, the security standards. So we knew when we spun it out, we wanted to make sure that we had this really secure, safe, trusted infrastructure, which could really rapidly get to those compliance standards as soon as we could. And we thought the best way to actually achieve that was to diversify our own team with some partners. And that's really where we came about finding DNX and selecting DNX as the partner to help us turn this into this trusted platform that stood on its own 2 feet.
So techs, engineering excellence, the data backing expertise you have, and then into the partnership. So Bruno, how did you really help with DNX and the team behind DNX, DataCo, achieve this vision? Because it started off as an idea, we now have an amazing product. So how did together this partnership scale?
Yes, so DNX is a cloud-native company, a premier partner from AWS, and we aim to democratize cloud access through customized solutions that basically will fit their problems and the issues. And our most valuable pillar is to understand the problem and what the customer wants, to extract the most value from the business and bring solutions, customized solutions that will fit and fix their problems, right? So when we first engaged with DataCo, the first phase was to create a roadmap to understand where DataCo wants to go and which phases should we have in the project. The first phase of the project was a discovery phase where we sit down with all the stakeholders, grab all the requirements, and got out everything that we need to do in the project along, right? The second phase was the migration. So as Danny said, they have amazing team, amazing engineer. They started the company thinking about security and compliance from the zero, so it helped us a lot, during the migration and the mitigation of the problems. The third phase was the Citadel. So as they are a startup, they want velocity. And Citadel brings this velocity to the company. So we are aiming to deploy compliance from the first time in DataCo's account from the day one. So that helps us increase the velocity during the project, and it helps us mitigate all the compliance standards that we have in their account. The fourth phase of the project was the migration of the workload. So basically we sit down with the engineers and we mitigate most of the things that were related to compliance, and that enabled them to use a compliant environment on AWS. The fifth part of the project was to sit down with the auditors and help them through the auditing process, where they get audited by a company and they got the compliance enablement. And we are still in the journey with them.
That's fantastic. So we went from 4 pillars, a 5-phased journey, which I think is going to be an ongoing journey. If I think about the future of what DataCo has for our customers globally, that's just incredible. Unlocking the data, creating that security. I'm just really excited. Danny, can you share a little bit about that job zero of security? Because all the customers, all the partners here are saying, tell us, how did you start that journey as a startup to get up and running? Obviously, you got backed by the expertise, but just that journey on security and how you kept that going, not only through the partnership, but as DataCo.
Yeah, I think it's really a mentality thing from the start. And anything to do with privacy or security these days has to be by design. It has to be embedded into everything you think about what you do. Now, we're in a space where data collaboration, what's held it back in the past is this lack of trust. It is the data risks. It is the privacy concerns. So we really didn't have any option but to make sure that everything we do from a product design perspective, from an infrastructure design perspective, always had that security embedded. But I think the important thing here with security and privacy is day 0 or day 1 is just the start. You have day 2, 3, 4 forever. It's an ongoing thing and you never stop. That's the thing about the compliance journey. Everyone goes and gets their ISO and the SOC 2, And we've done all of those pathways, but it's not a once thing. You have to live compliance, you have to live security all the time, because that's how you maintain trust, both with your customers, but their customers as well.
And this is a partnership and collaboration we're talking about here, with security threading right across AWS, DNX and DataCo. Bruno, did you have anything to add to that from that job zero of security? Was there a special part that DNX played in this journey, more than the phases you talked about?
Yeah, so as we mentioned before, Danny has an amazing engineer team, and that helped us a lot, because since the beginning, they engage with us, they understand what they were doing. So it helped us just to offload and focus on what is really important, that was in the compliance and the security place.
Yeah, so the knowledge transfer is something I feel you've got great technology services and capabilities, you've got product expertise and engineering expertise, and then you've got knowledge to bring it together. Now look, I've got founders here, CEOs, CTOs saying, right, Danny, Bruno, what's one advice you'd have for a company who's starting their journey and looking to scale, so starting off in Australia or another country, and they're looking to scale globally? What's the one piece of advice you might have? Let's go Bruno first, and then we'll go to Danny to wrap us up.
I think compliance is not optional anymore. So as DataCo did from the beginning, thinking about compliance since day one, it's really important, because it mitigates most of the problems that you have in the future. And it will help you train your team as well, and have all the pillars in a company thinking about compliance. Not just the tech team, but the business as well.
Love that. Danny, bring us home, and maybe it's something linked to the four.
I'm sure I can make something which is tied to those four things, but I think one thing that really is tied to those four things is it's super important for early stage companies to understand who their partners are and what their partnership strategy is. No one can solve the world's problems by themselves. No technology solution stands by itself. And really understanding who the partners in your ecosystem who can help your business scale. And that's not just a sales kind of scale. This is around your capabilities, your security, your privacy, all around getting to that trust and value that I spoke about before. Really understanding that, mapping it out, and working really closely with those partners is super important. That's why we're in a position where the work with DNX wasn't just a one-off activity to migrate our technology. That's not how we looked at our partnership. We saw them as an ability to access this expertise on an ongoing basis. And sometimes that's hard for an organization to have the right skills to scale, but when you can access partners who have the right skills, that's what we want to do. And it's the same with AWS. We see this amazing technology company who continues to feed us these fantastic services, but also business expertise and networks of partners. And we continue to work to collaborate and strengthen our partnership as the best way for our business to scale.
I love the four pillars, and the four pillars of partnership. So customers at the heart of everything we do, trust, security, and more importantly, data and AI is such an exciting journey. I can't wait to see what this partnership between DNX, DataCo and AWS has ahead, rapidly scaling, rapidly growing together. But more importantly, as a role model, we have here DataCo helping young companies around the world see the pathway to success and growth and innovation. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Anita.
Thank you.